Today we are going to discuss all the formulas present in the chapter Motion in One Dimension and in Plane. Each and every formula would be discussed. Also the graphs related to free fall or the various questions which are related to first acceleration and all those, how to solve them. All these things will be discussed in detail. So first we'll start with the graphs for free fall which were given in NCERT. For A versus T graph, uh, basically when we throw an object to the ground, okay, then the acceleration is said to be constant and negative. So this is a constant and it is negative. Okay, this is AT graph and this is minus of G. Next, V versus T graph. V versus T graph also is drawn in the similar manner. Because of constant acceleration, see, velocity is said to be uniform. Okay, V versus T. Last is distance versus time graph. Distance versus time graph, due to negative acceleration, see, this is a parabolic graph. After that, there are certain questions which come in the format where a car first accelerates. So first it's accelerating with the acceleration alpha, we consider, achieves maximum velocity, we consider it as V max. Okay, and then it is said to finally decelerate, or we can say it retards. So it retards with beta. Okay, so if such question is given, first immediately put the values in this format. First to draw this VT curve and make an accelerating slope, decelerating beta. Okay, this point is said to be the maximum velocity, and this is the first interval of time t1 taken for acceleration. This is the second interval of time t2 taken for deceleration. So they are asking what is the value of acceleration. Just the formula is present. Acceleration would be equivalent to alpha beta upon alpha plus beta. Next is they are asking distance. We know s is equals to ut plus half at square. Here one thing you need to remember, u is 0, okay, in this question. So it is nothing but half at square. Now for the value of a, just directly substitute this value over here. Similarly, finding v is nothing but u plus at. U is 0, so directly at. And value of a we can substitute it from here. Okay. So this is the type of question which mostly is seen in one dimension type of questions. After that, there is many times questions come where a ball is directly thrown vertically upwards. Okay, it achieves a maximum height when its velocity becomes 0. Only then maximum height is achieved. After that, it retraces its path. Okay, this distance which we have shown, this is just for seeing in the reference point of view. Otherwise there is no distance present over here. It directly retraces its path and falls just here. Okay, then for this case we need to draw the graphs. Okay, first is acceleration versus time graph. Here also, as acceleration is said to be negative, so here negative. Okay, negative g. Now for velocity versus time graph. Okay, velocity versus time. In velocity versus time, we see first as it's thrown upward, velocity becomes 0. That is, velocity is constantly decreasing. Okay, then it goes on increasing. Okay, so we'll draw it like this. It's decreasing, it reaches a 0 point. Okay, and then velocity has the ability to become negative. Okay, so it negatively increases. So this is the graph of velocity versus time. For speed versus time, just one thing we need to remember: speed is a scalar quantity, it cannot be negative. So just by watching the graph of velocity, it's till here it's same, but it can't go in the negative side. Okay, speed time graph, so it goes upwards. Okay, after that is displacement time graph. Displacement time graph which is there, it can be easily deciphered from the acceleration time graph, as acceleration is negative. Okay, That's why displacement time graph is concave downwards. This is displacement and this is time. Distance time graph which is there, it is in this format. First it is concave downwards and then upwards. So this is distance and time. After that, many times they have given the circular path, and they are saying that find if a particle moves from point A to point B, okay, then we need to find the displacement. So the displacement is here actually the value of x, and x can be found out by a shortcut. Depending on whatever the angle is given, x is nothing but it is equivalent to 2r sine theta divided by 2. So whatever the angle is given, divide by 2, find its sine, okay, and after that multiply by 2r. That would give you the value of x. After that are certain vector addition properties. First is, if a vector is in this direction, b vector is in this direction, okay, they are touching their b is touching its head of this vector is touching the tail of this vector, and one vector we are drawing in the opposite sense, okay, of the entire sequence, then r vector will be nothing but it will be equivalent to b vector plus a vector. Why b vector plus a vector? Because it is starting from b and ending towards a, okay, so that's why we are going to add it. Otherwise we can simply find out in the resultant format. This is a vector, this is b vector. We can just extend b vector in this format and write this as b vector, and this would be the resultant. That is also the same value that we would get. After that is when there are more than one vectors and they are present all in the same direction, okay, everyone have their head in towards the tail of the other. So this more than two vectors are present and they are added in this format, then their addition is nothing but the vector addition is said to be 0. After that comes this is an important property. Over here there are two vectors, p and q vector. The angle between them is theta. The resultant of this vector is making an angle alpha with vector p, okay, and an angle beta with vector q. So we need to find the summation of these two vectors, or we can also say we can find the value of r vector. This will be nothing but it will be equivalent to root of p square plus q square plus 2pq cos theta, okay, theta is this angle. After that if we need to find tan alpha, similarly we can find tan beta as well. First I'll show what is tan alpha. See, alpha is this angle, okay, so first we write q, okay, we write q, then we write q sin theta upon p plus q cos theta. So just the one which is opposite, the side which is opposite to the angle, it is taken in the numerator as well as in the denominator with sine and the cos functions. After that we are going to see this was the expansion of tan alpha. If the similar manner there is tan beta, then instead of q we write p sin theta upon q plus p cos theta. So both the ways the question can be solved. After that this is many times we can directly solve the question by this identity as well. P upon sine of the opposite side, that is beta, q upon sine alpha, and r upon the sine of the entire angle between the two arms, that is theta. Okay. After that comes oblique projectile. Oblique projectile means when an object is thrown from the surface in this manner. Okay, then it is thrown with an initial velocity. Suppose we consider it as u. The velocity which it gains initially in x direction, we consider it as ux, and that in y direction we consider as ui. After that, when it reaches at a point where its velocity is its height is maximum, here the velocity in y direction becomes 0. Okay, at this point velocity in x direction is only present. And finally what happens is, basically over here velocity in x direction remains the same. This is the x direction velocity. Velocity in y direction changes as vy, and this is the final velocity v. This final v velocity which is there, it is basically present at an angle over here. The angle with which we throw the object is said to be theta. Okay, angle of the projectile is said to be theta. It is that angle which initial velocity makes with the x-axis. Okay, this is the angle. Sometimes they give the angle with the vertical, as they did in the year of NEET 2022, where the angle was given with the vertical. So it's always essential that we see with which axis they are giving the angle, because all the formulas are based upon it. After that is we find, basically this was the diagram format which we always need to remember. Sometimes oblique projectile, we shouldn't get confused. It is from the surface to ending to the surface. After that we'll write basic points. In horizontal direction the acceleration is said to be 0, but in vertical direction the acceleration is always acting downwards by the gravity. Okay, velocity in horizontal direction is nothing but initial velocity, which is nothing but the cos component, that is u cos theta. But in y direction the velocity does not remain same. We know v is equivalent to u plus at. Similarly, velocity in y is uy plus ay into t. Now where uy which is there, it is nothing but u sin theta plus gt. Okay, and here g, whenever we write it, is minus. Okay, because of it acting always downwards, the downward direction acceleration is taken to be negative. The sign conventions are quite important to be remembered. After that there is trajectory equation, which is one equation for solving a lot of questions. Here the formula needs to be remembered. Y is equivalent to x tan theta, okay, minus g x square, okay, divided by 2u square cos square theta. Over here each and every term represents one thing. See, y represents the distance from the y-axis. Over here, looking at the diagram, we can say that if we consider this point, this entire thing which is there, this is said to be the range. And if we consider that x will be here equivalent to r, okay, and this is the maximum height, which is nothing but equivalent to h. So at h, x is nothing but r by 2. You can see at this point the x value is nothing but r by 2. Only this much part we are taking. So likewise, by substituting these values, also theta is this angle. Okay, again x is given, u we know its initial velocity, rest all things we know from this equation. So by finding y and x, either we can find out, and this basically is an important equation. After that is equation of parabola. Equation of parabola basically has no importance as such for solving questions, but it just needs to be remembered. Y will be equivalent to ax minus bx square. Sometimes for identification purpose it might come. Next is short equation of trajectory. So this equation of trajectory is shortened over here. It can be written as y will be equivalent to x tan theta 1 minus x by r. So here also r stands for range, x stands for distance from x, okay, and y stands for distance from y. After that is time of flight. Time of flight which is there, it is nothing but time taken to move from this point, okay, entirely till this point, okay, full entirely till this point. Each and every point which is taken is known as time of flight. So the formula for time of flight will be equivalent to 2u sine theta divided by g. It can also be written as 2u in y direction divided by g. This is initial velocity in y direction, okay. After that h max which is there, it is u square sine square theta divided by 2g. It can also be written as u in y direction, square it up, divided by 2g. This is initial velocity. After that, formula for range, r will be equivalent to u square sine 2 theta divided by g. We saw in basic mathematics expansion of sine 2 theta, as a result of which I told that basic mathematics is quite important, because many things of it is seen in various chapters or distributed in various chapters. It can also be written as 2 multiplied by u in x direction, u in y direction divided by g. After this comes at theta equivalent to 45 degree, range is said to be maximum, and we can directly apply this formula u square by g. Just substitute the value of 45 degree over here. 2 into 45 is 90. Sine 90 which is there, it is 1. So remains as u square by g. Relation between r and h maximum. Okay, we'll see over here in spite of it gone. Relation between r and h maximum is nothing but r tan theta will be 4 into h max. This is the relation between r and h maximum. After that we'll see if we are throwing two objects at complementary angle. What does it mean is, see, we consider two substances. First we consider this ball, okay, we are throwing it in this manner, okay. At the same time we are considering another ball which we are throwing at this angle, not the same angle but the other angle. This is theta 1 and this one is thrown at theta 2, theta 1, theta 2. Both are thrown with the same velocity. After a particular time they reach a particular point which is same. That means their range is same, their velocities are same, okay. Their heights are different, okay. One is h1, other is h2. The angle theta 1 and theta 2 are complementary, means theta 1 plus theta 2 will be 90 degree. If this condition is fulfilled without any exception, then we can use these formulas, that is value of u would be equivalent to basically half g multiplied by t1 square plus t2 square, the whole raised to half. After that the relation of r and h1 and h2, r will be equivalent to 4 times root of h1 multiplied by h2. After that, after the trajectory equation is solved, we see that values of delta v and delta p can be found out. Delta v will be equivalent to 2u sine theta into j cap. Delta v means nothing but change in velocity during the entire journey. not for this is not for complementary angles, rather it is for the normal oblique projectile we had just seen. Delta p means change in momentum. We know momentum is mass into change in velocity. So change in velocity, we know this formula. Just put this formula over here. We find that 2 mu sine theta into j cap. Okay, minus we can put here because of j cap. Okay, direction is specified as the result. Next is for uniform circular motion. In uniform circular motion, basically first centripetal acceleration is need to be found out. Centripetal acceleration, which is there are three formulas. First is v square divided by r, that is radius, or omega square, okay, into r, and last is omega multiplied by v. Omega is angular velocity and v is actual velocity. V vector, which is there, it can also be written as omega vector multiplied by r vector. Centripetal acceleration can be written as omega vector cross v vector. Tangential acceleration can be written as alpha vector cross r vector. After that comes non-uniform acceleration. Basically, there are three things we need to find. First is tangential acceleration can be found out by d by dt of mod of v vector. Okay. After that, alpha can be found out as d omega by dt. And after that, a vector, which is there, it is found out by root of centripetal acceleration square plus tangential acceleration square. After that comes certain properties which are present in NCERT. They are given lots of statements rather than simplification, so I have just simplified it over here. See, first is vector addition follows commutative law. Okay. Second law it follows is associative law. Commutative law means nothing but vector A when added to vector B, okay, can also be written in the format of vector B plus vector A, okay, plus vector B plus vector A. Associative law means when A vector is added to B plus C vector, then it can also be written as A plus B vector is added to C vector. Then scalar or dot product, first it follows commutative law. And second it follows distributive law. In commutative law, basically vector A dot product vector B will be equivalent to vector B dot product vector A. Next is distributive law, is nothing but vector A dot product vector B plus C can be expanded as vector A dot product vector B plus vector A dot product vector C. After that, vector or cross product, here commutative law is not followed. This is an important line given in NCERT. We need to remember it, rather we may mess up during a paper. Distributive law is followed. See here, vector A cross product vector B plus C can be expanded, okay, as vector A cross product vector B plus vector A cross product vector C. After these properties, there is horizontal projectile. What is actually horizontal projectile? This is a projectile C. We consider this as a platform, and from this platform we take an object, okay. This object we are throwing, it follows this path and falls on the ground. So this type of projectile which is there, this is at a particular angle, okay, at an angle theta. This can be also considered as horizontal projectile, but we take the basic case in which we are directly throwing it straight like this and it's falling downwards. So this is nothing but a horizontal projectile. The earlier case which I had shown you all, these are covered in the questions. Okay, all the questions have been along with me. If you all actually require solving of questions on various topics, then do let me know in the comments. I would basically try to cover as many questions which are of various different topics, which I have actually made a notebook of, and show it all through this videos. Okay, so here where we were, in the horizontal projectile, basically if we are throwing it in with initial velocity u in x direction, then they're asking initial velocity in y direction would be, it is 0 because there's no velocity given, and range which is there, it is, this is the range. Okay, this is the range. This is nothing but this velocity multiplied by time. This velocity is nothing but velocity in x direction. Okay, so these are the two things which are important in horizontal projectile. After that, if xt graph is given, how to convert it into vt graph? This is the most commonly asked question, which is seen in various books as well. See, first of all, we look at the, we know velocity is nothing but slope of xt graph. Okay, this we know. So we see that the slope over here is positive. Here the slope is said to be 0, and here the slope is said to be negative. So we write here, if slope is positive means velocity is first positive, here velocity is 0, here velocity is negative. We got this thing. Now I had said that whenever it is facing downwards means it's sad, and whenever it's facing upwards it's happy. Xt graph, okay, when xt graph is facing downwards, it means acceleration is negative throughout, and if it's facing out upwards, acceleration is positive throughout. So this is a important way through which you can easily imitate weather acceleration graph, how it could be also. Now here xt is negative, xt is downwards means acceleration is negative. Okay, so this entire situation, here also acceleration is negative, here also acceleration is negative, here also acceleration is negative. Now when velocity and acceleration are in the opposite direction, means one is positive, one is negative, that means speed here is decreasing. So speed and time graph can also be found out. Speed here is decreasing. If velocity is 0, here acceleration is negative. Okay, here we see both are in same direction, means speed here is increasing. First we will draw velocity time graph, then I'll show how speed time graph can also be drawn out of it. See, this is velocity and this is time. First velocity is said to be positive. Okay, positive, it becomes 0 over here, then it becomes negative. Second is velocity is second is speed time graph. Speed time graph, we'll draw it over here itself. So this is speed and this is time. So first speed is decreasing and then it is increasing. So first it is decreasing, okay, then it is increasing, and here it is 0. Velocity is 0, speed is 0. That's common. So this was the graph for both of them. Easily we could find out through xt graph itself. Next is crossing of river in minimum time and in minimum drift. These two cases are usually taken into consideration. For minimum time, remember, it will always go straight. Okay, the river swimmer would always go straight without changing its direction. So it's going straight. This is the velocity of swimmer. This is the velocity of river. Okay, this direction, velocity of river. So this direction which we would get, this is velocity of swimmer with respect to river. Okay, then next is minimum drift condition. Here the swimmer which is there, he will go at an obtuse angle. See, he will swim in this manner. This is velocity of swimmer. Here the velocity of river is present. So net direction would be here. velocity of swimmer with respect to river. So that is the net direction. So these were the two cases which were important. Next is S of nth. S of nth will be u plus a by 2 into 2n minus 1. Then for jugular problem, n delta t will be equivalent to 2u by g, where delta t is the time interval between the two balls, okay, which is thrown. N is the number of balls which are thrown, and 2u by g, u is initial velocity, g we know, acceleration due to gravity. So these were all the formulas related, okay.